Minecraft's got a lot of mobs in-game that, while fun to look at, are pretty useless, not having any unique drops, mechanics, or features, such as polar bears. Currently, if you were to approach polar bears in-game, they wouldn't actually be of particular use. I mean, sure, they will attack you, so they do pose some sort of threat when you happen to be nearby them, but generally speaking, if you were to take out a polar bear, what you'd see is they don't have any remarkably useful drops. Namely, they just drop different types of raw fish. However, you can already get raw fish by simply fishing in-game, so they don't really add much to your Minecraft experience outside of, looking cute. But now polar bears have some pretty decent use. On ice, they don't do anything special, but if you happen across some polar bears that have been hanging out in the water a little bit, turns out they've been fishing. And if you didn't see there, they'll now automatically fish any nearby cod, salmon, or from time to time, bone meal, which means they probably had a couple bites of that poor guy first, which in theory means you can now set up farms with polar bears to get auto fishing going on, an endless supply of fish. On top of that though, the polar bears also have a land-based use. If you are, like me, heartless enough to take out a polar bear that's minding its own business, it has a new drop, a useful one. Namely, this is polar bear fur. And you're gonna want to put it on, because now whenever you walk around on ice blocks, you will take frozen damage. However, by applying the polar bear fur, it all goes away. Now you've actually got some reason to, well, be mean to these guys.
They love killing animals and stealing their food.
In Minecraft. Next up are zombie villagers. Now I know this is a regular villager, but it can be zombified. In hard mode, if a villager happens to get killed by a zombie in-game, it will become transformed into a zombie villager. There we are. Now these guys are only useful in the sense that if you cure them and they turn back into a regular villager, they'll have reduced trade discounts. However, in zombie form, they're not that useful. But now we've made zombie villagers just a little bit more useful. For example, you see something in his hand here. Well, I'll get to it in a second. First of all, zombie villagers will now poison you upon attacking you, so they pose a serious threat. But as you can see here, they're worth that threat, because if you happen to kill one, you'll get a new item, known as the Corrupted Emerald. These Corrupted Emeralds are quite useful, because if you happen to hold any on you with a villager nearby, at least one that has trades. Hey, I'm on Cameo. Book me today for a custom video message. Here's a villager with a job. Hey, dude. Hey. Oh, yeah, see, he wants the goods. Check this out. You can use Corrupted Emeralds to get special new trades. Potions of fire resistance from the cleric, as well as strength too. Wow, and what a deal. Or how about this guy, a librarian? We can get fire protection in exchange for our Corrupted Emeralds, or even a Sharpness 2 book. Different villagers will have different trades depending on which ones you happen across, but now you've got a means to get extra currency when you take out one of their zombified friends. Hey man, do you want any of these Corrupted Emeralds? Oh, now there's also the zombie horse, but we'll get to them a little later. And hey, speaking of villages, we've got another fairly useless mob. It's known as the Ravager. Now, the reason I consider this guy to be useless is because if you manage to kill him, he doesn't exactly have anything of substance that he drops upon death. If you're lucky enough to survive a Ravager attack, it's highly likely that all you're gonna get, well, other than being killed, is a chance for a drop you're already used to, a saddle. It doesn't give us anything special. But see, now the Ravager does something a little bit different, or at least in this case, drops something a little bit different. No longer will you only find a saddle at the end of this guy's death. Instead, you'll get your hands on Ravager horns. And that villager potion came in handy. You can add Ravager horns to any helmet in game to get your hands on a horned helmet. And wearing it will imbue you with the power of the Ravager. Namely, if you hold sneak and then right click while holding it, you'll be able to have a charging attack added to your arsenal, which will allow you to break any blocks nearby and will allow you to deal damage to any mobs nearby. Hey man, those trades from before, they sucked. Lovely. Oh yeah, this is gonna be good. Hey cows, I hate you. Oh, this could be a lot of fun to use. Then there's the Strider mob. added back in the Minecraft 1.16 update, these guys have somewhat of a use. First of all, you can attract their attention using either warped fungus or warped fungus on a stick. Okay, I'm gonna stop burning. You can add a saddle to them to actually ride them around, so I'm glad I kept that from the Ravager from before, and use the Striders to travel across lava. Furthermore, you can use the warped fungus on a stick to make them go even faster. So, in some cases, there are uses for the Strider. However, there are plenty of good ways to navigate the Nether without ever needing to use them, namely by just walking across the blocks further up. Ooh, a bastion. What's more, if you happen to kill some Striders and not feel too bad about it, they don't actually drop anything particularly useful. You'll get your saddle back if you put one on them, but other than that, you just get string. Yeah, run. You don't have anything I want anyways. Okay, but now Striders are awesome. Yes, you can still saddle them. Yes, you can still ride them. But now when you use a warp fungus on the stick, you'll actually charge them even on the mainland. And you'll notice some special fiery particles coming off of this Strider. That's because now you can jump with them. Now you can actually get around on land as well and clear serious gaps anywhere you are. And that includes on lava as well. No longer are you in trouble if you happen across a single one high block gap. I mean, it's just embarrassing. But on top of that, if you kill the Striders, you heartless monster, they drop something very useful on top of it all. Check this out. We now have something known as Strider Hide. And if you collect enough of them, you can make Lava Walker boots. Similar in nature to the Frost Walker enchantment, you can now use it to walk across lava, which will form obsidian blocks that eventually turn into magma blocks and will break behind you. So make sure you keep moving very quickly, otherwise you might fall into lava. And then there were frogs. Now, Mojang took a different approach for frogs. I found it pretty interesting. Namely, frogs will actually eat tiny magma cubes and give you frog light blocks, which are a new type of light source found in game. And the only way you can get them is if you manage to have a frog defeat a baby magma cube. Otherwise, they're impossible to get. But there are already light-emitting blocks in game, so these pearlescent frog lights aren't as useful. And back to the frogs, they don't drop anything on death, at least not for now. Now the frogs have additional utility, namely the fact that when you kill them, they drop frogs' legs. Now, frogs already had a utility, as mentioned, getting the frog lights, but we figured we'd add a minor one. If you eat frog legs, well, they can heal you if you're hungry, but that's all they do. However, if you decide to cook some frog legs, you'll get cooked frog legs. Who'd have thought? Eating these give you a new effect, or rather an existing one, a jump boost. Now you can be like the frogs and use these food items to clear some serious gaps, especially if you don't happen to have a Strider handy. Parkour map makers are now shaking in their boots. But what about the parrots? Yes, they have some use as well. Namely, if there's a mob nearby, they will begin to imitate the sound that the mob makes. So if a witch is around for long enough, you'll start to hear the parrots imitate the sound of the witch. And yes, you can also tame parrots, and when taming them, they'll actually hang out on your shoulder, which is cute, but not too useful. And we mustn't forget that when there's a jukebox playing, the parrots will dance. Despite their alluring moves, they also only drop feathers. Overall cute, but not useful. Parrots' updated use, we've attached their use to other mobs. Now, namely, when you're in survival mode, foxes and ocelots will flee from you. However, now, if you happen to have a parrot nearby that you've tamed, or kill one, which we'll do both of in just a second here, they'll drop a new item known as bright feathers. With a parrot on your shoulder, foxes and ocelots will now be attracted over to you. Apparently frogs as well. No, just the foxes and ocelots. But you don't even need a parrot on your shoulder in order for that to happen. Notice they are fleeing once again. If we were, though, to instead hold the bright feathers, you'd notice something. They're now totally cool with you. Hey, guys! In fact, I think he even brought me a present. Then, of course, there's the silverfish. Found presumably only in strongholds, currently at least. The silverfish, yeah, well, they can cause a lot of backup to appear, but killing them doesn't actually provide you with anything, and you can't do anything with the mobs outside of battle them while you're inside said stronghold. A little bit of a nuisance, you could say, but at any rate, they do make the strongholds a little bit more difficult, so there's some use in that. How about we make things a little bit better, though? What do you say? See, now with silverfish, if you happen to kill one, they'll drop a new item. It's known as silverfish eggs. Now you can actually choose what blocks are infested by silverfish. On top of that, you'll get more than one when they eventually hatch, which means you can continue to get silverfish eggs. What's more, more, if you infest an ore with silverfish eggs, you've got a high chance of this block giving you double the amount of diamonds you'd normally get. It doesn't always work, but in the event you do happen across one, your chance of getting extra diamonds will increase. See, we actually managed to get our hands on 2 diamonds from that one. Why don't we go ahead and take these guys out real quick? Die. Oh boy, he's got some friends that are coming. You can see exactly what I mean. Place these eggs in, and just like that, ooh, wait a second, how many we get there? 3, and then down here, yep, a total of 2 more diamonds. However, it's time we visited our old friend. And then there was the zombie horse, which literally has no use at all. You actually can't find these spawning in naturally in Minecraft. You have to spawn them in via their creative mode spawning. And unless you find a special creative mode command, you can't even ride them. You see, hear me clicking? It doesn't let me on. Well, how about their drops? Killing a zombie horse will get you zombie flesh, which also sucks. At least it makes sense. Now, zombie horses have a chance of spawning in at night in place of regular horses. On top of that, you no longer need a special command to be able to ride them. You can now ride zombie horses around. And what's more, if there's any zombies nearby, they'll be incapable of damaging you while you're on the zombie horse. And further to that, they will follow you around as though you are the ultimate zombie commander. Very, very nice. Getting off of the horse, though, will allow them to damage you once more. Now, if your zombie horse is subject to have taken some damage, what you can do now is, at a distance, heal them by using zombie flesh on them. And you can see some particles just went off. Going back to this horse, you'll see it is once again at full health.